All right, so are you ready to go deep?
Music.
Today we're taking a look at rapper 6ix9ine.
6ix9ine.
Right, 6ix9ine, also known as Daniel Hernandez.
Yeah?
We've got a summary and analysis of a video all about his career, and
Okay.
trust me, this is going to be wild. It's not just about the music, though.
Yeah.
It's about how fame and fortune, they can just disappear, especially when you're in a world that just loves controversy.
It's like a roller coaster ride, right? Like you're up and then you're down and then you're sideways.
Yeah, for sure. And 6ix9ine's journey starts in Brooklyn. Tough childhood, lost his dad really young, and got involved with some, shall we say, shady activities?
Yeah, it makes you wonder, like, how much did that shape him? You know? I mean, his persona is aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, you can't help but think that those early years really impacted him. But then, bam, 2017 comes along, and he just explodes, hits after hits.
It's crazy.
Everyone's talking about 6ix9ine. Remember Gummo?
Yeah.
That track alone got over 400 million views on YouTube.
That's insane. I mean, that's not just a hit. That's like a cultural moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy to think he got those numbers so early in his career.
Yeah. What did he tap into? Like, what made that song connect with so many people?
Yeah, he wasn't just making music, though. He was making serious money.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking millions from music endorsements, the whole 9 yards.
That's where things get a little scary, actually. Because even though he was earning a fortune, he still ended up in massive debt, over $20 million in debt.
Wait, what? How's that even possible?
Well, it happens sometimes in the music industry. These young artists, they get thrown into this financial whirlwind. They got all this sudden wealth, and there's pressure to keep up a certain lifestyle. People are always whispering these bad investment ideas.
It's like a recipe for disaster.
It can be,
Right.
especially if you don't have the right guidance.
So it's like the classic rags to riches to rags story.
Yeah.
But then things get even crazier when you add in the whole snitching controversy.
Oh, yeah. That's where things get really complicated. His legal battles and his gang involvement, that all comes into play.
So he's facing some pretty serious charges, right? And then boom, he makes this move that shocks everyone. He decides to testify against his fellow gang members.
In that world, snitching is the ultimate betrayal. It's like a violation of trust that comes with some serious consequences.
And his reputation took a massive hit after that. His music career just went into free fall. Albums flopped, projects stalled. It's like that one decision just sent shockwaves through everything he had built.
He went from being on top to being an outcast practically overnight. And there's a reason why snitching carries so much weight in hip-hop. It goes back to this mistrust of authority, this need to protect your own, especially when the system feels rigged against you.
Yeah, that makes sense. He did eventually get out of prison, but freedom didn't exactly fix everything.
Now, he was basically starting from scratch,
Right.
but with this huge snitch label attached to his name.
Like a scarlet letter.
Right, he was carrying that baggage everywhere he went. And it makes you wonder, how do you rebuild your career when everyone sees you as a traitor?
It's a tough road, for sure. So he's out of prison and music career's basically dead. What's he gonna do?
Well, he tries to go a different route,
Mm-hmm.
you know. He looks at the world of social media.
That seems like a pretty logical next step, right? I mean, he already had a massive following online.
Right. And he was already great at getting people's attention, you
Hmm.
know, pushing boundaries and all that.
And he did land some big contracts. I think I read somewhere he got like a $10 million deal with Fashion Nova for a clothing line.
Yeah, that seemed like a really smart move, you
Yeah.
know, using his fan base working with a brand known for being edgy.
But even that fell apart.
It did. And I think it comes down to this. 6ix9ine's brand was all about shock value, about being unpredictable. That's not always the best for long-term business relationships.
Especially if you're working with companies worried about their image.
Exactly. There were controversies, legal issues. It was just too risky for those companies to stay connected to him.
So even trying to reinvent himself, find a new path, it didn't really work out. It's tough. You know, a bad reputation, it's hard to shake off. Especially in a world where everything's online. It makes you think about other celebrities who've tried to rebrand after scandals. Some do okay, but a lot don't. It's a tricky thing.
It makes you wonder if there's some secret formula for coming back from something like that, for regaining people's trust.
I think the most important thing is being authentic. You know, people can tell when you're faking it. If you're not really trying to change to make things right, it shows.
And with 6ix9ine, his whole persona was built on shock value and controversy. It's like he was hooked on the attention, even if it was bad attention.
It's a weird thing, right? The same things that made him famous ended up hurting him in the long run. It shows how unpredictable fame can be and how dangerous it is to rely on shock value.
So in a way, he became a victim of his own success. He built this image, this larger-than-life character, and then he couldn't escape it.
Yeah, and I think that's something a lot of people can relate to, even outside of music and celebrity. It's about figuring out who you are in a world that's always trying to tell you who you should be. Okay, so we've talked about his crazy rise to fame, his even crazier downfall, and his attempts to, like, reinvent himself, which haven't really worked out.
Yeah. It really makes you think about what it takes to stay successful, especially in a world that loves to build you up and then tear you right back down.
Right. And that brings us to the big question. Can 69 actually recover?
Hmm.
I mean, can he fix his reputation? Can he get out of all that debt?
Well, it's definitely not going to be easy. He's got a long road ahead.
Yeah, but do you think he can actually turn things around?
There's always a chance for redemption.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count him out just yet.
Really?
Yeah, but it's going to take a lot more than just catchy songs and social media stunts. He has to show real growth, a real commitment to actually becoming a better person.
It's like you said earlier, people can tell when you're not being genuine.
Right. It has to be authentic.
Yeah.
He needs to be honest with himself and with his audience and really figure out what kind of legacy he wants to leave behind.
I mean, he is still young. He's got time to change things up.
He does. But time is ticking. Yeah. The longer he waits, the harder it's going to be to change people's minds.
Yeah.
You know what they say about the internet?
Yeah, the internet never forgets.
Right.
So what do you think it would take for him to actually redeem himself?
I think it would take a level of, like, self-awareness and humility that we haven't seen from him before. You know? He'd have to admit his mistakes and take responsibility and really show that he wants to make things right.
But that's got to be tough, right? I mean, people would be skeptical. There'd be backlash, people waiting for him to mess up.
Of course. It's a long shot, no doubt.
Yeah.
Imagine if he actually did it.
Yeah.
If he turned his life around and used his platform for good.
That would be an incredible story.
Right. A real redemption arc.
It'd prove that second chances are possible. That even when you hit rock bottom, you can still come back from it.
It's almost Shakespearean.
Yeah.
The rise, the fall,
Yeah.
the potential for rebirth.
It is. It makes his story even more fascinating. It shows something about all of us, our ability to do great things and also make terrible mistakes. This constant struggle to find meaning and purpose.
That's a great point.
So we'll leave you with this. Can 6ix9ine rewrite his story? Or is he destined to be just another cautionary tale? Only time will tell. But either way, there's a lot to learn from his journey.
Definitely. It reminds us that success doesn't last forever. Our choices matter. And redemption is possible, but it takes a lot of work.
Maybe there's a little bit of 6ix9ine in all of us. The desire for fame, the fear of failure, the struggle to figure things out in a world that's always changing.
That's a good point. We all have our own battles.
Yeah.
Our own challenges. And sometimes seeing someone else's struggles can help us understand our own a little better.
I think that's what makes deep dives like this so interesting. It's not just about gossip. It's about learning about ourselves and the world around us.
Exactly. And who knows? Maybe in a few years we'll revisit his story and see what happened. Did he beat the odds? But until then, keep those questions coming. Keep exploring. And remember, every story, even the messy ones, has something to teach us.